Illinois, decisive victory at home against Colgate. I spent the last week and a half, well, not week and a half, I spent the last half week screaming that this was going to be a closer game than people are comfortable with. And then all Illinois did, Cart, was run out to a 14-0 lead, run Colgate out of the building, a pretty good Colgate team, mind you, and tweet about the Bears at halftime. That's all that Illinois did today.
Crazy move by Coleman to do that, by the way. That's the one downfall. You can't have that.
Don't you
That's
love that move,
honestly,
though? That's a move you love.
I love it, but you can't do it. You can't do that.
Are we sure you can't
Like,
do
don't get
that?
it
Because
twisted.
he did it. They
You
won the
can't.
game.
No, trust me. Coming from me, I love the move. It's a me move, 100%. You can't do it though. You can't let the intrusive thoughts win.
Ah, got it. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, there's that, and there are. I'm sorry, Illinois fans. That time of year, there are some other body language things
Oh, come on,
we could
Greg.
talk about.
No, Greg. No, we're not doing this. We are not doing this after all the conversation we had about exam week and this being sneaky and Colgate having
Coleman
a kid named
invited it. Coleman
and
invited it.
no, no,
Did he
no, no, no.
not?
And Colgate having a kid named Braden Smith. We are not going deep into body language stuff right now. Come on.
Coleman invited it. Did he not? Like now we get to talk about it slightly. Look, the takeaway from this game is still that Illinois was awesome. That's where I'll start for this. I really thought this was going to be like comes down to the final 4 minutes game. That's truly what I thought. I think Colgate's good enough to do that. Again, they basically dominated a Syracuse team for 30 minutes of a game, and Syracuse looked really good today, like blowout victory against Oregon. So I think Colgate can play. I think Braden Smith's a really good player. And Braden Smith did nothing today, Carter. He was just put in a lockbox. 2 points, 4 assists to 2 turnovers. And on the Illinois side of things, it was balance again. Terrence Shannon didn't have a first-team All-American type night, but he had 5 blocks in this game because he's a physical force of nature. Ty Rodgers finishes with 5 assists, 8 rebounds to 1 turnover. If he played 35 minutes, this was a huge Ty Rodgers game. And then Coleman Hawkins, Guerrier, and Damask all chip in 15 or 16 points each. The team looks really good. They look really deep. They look really talented. I think this is a win that honestly impresses me more than some of Illinois' bigger moments of the season with how they took care of business during exam week.
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to me is taking care of business during exam week, because this is the type of game where I'm trying to think how I want to say this. You could have excuses. Like you know that if they wanted to, if they were to lose this basketball game, me and you, if we wanted to, we could come on here and be like, don't worry about Illinois. This was just an exam week loss. Like, well, there's no need to worry about this super long term, anything like that. But they came out here and they handled business, especially after seeing the rest of the country struggle, to be honest, with teams during exam week and things like that. So I think it's very impressive. It shows this team's kind of resolve. It also shows this team's like composure as far as like an older team who doesn't get thrown off their pivot by like outside factors. And if we know Illinois basketball, sometimes outside factors and other noise outside of what actually happens on the court can kind of affect what players do on the court. So I think it was, extremely impressive of them to be mentally locked in and to come out and win this basketball game. And you have a game where your starters, Terrence Shannon gives you 14, Damask gives you 15, Guerrier 15, Coleman 16. And Coleman was one of the guys that I wanted to see actually have a good game, because there's those injury concerns that are nagging him, that are kind of swirling around him. They shoot, 8 for 23 from 3, solid, 20 from 22 from the line. It's I don't know if there's really a negative I can honestly find in this game unless I really want to dig into it. The only negative I think I would throw out there is that Dane only played 14 minutes. That's unacceptable.
Is it actually unacceptable to you?
To me, yeah.
Okay. Spin zone? Can I spin zone? Will you allow me to spin zone?
It depends. Are you spinning it basketball wise? Or you spinning it body language?
Kind of both. Kind of both.
Okay.
More basketball than body language. This is a positive spin zone.
Okay, spin it.
Under the premise that everyone's happy right now, which I think I can accept. Under the premise that everyone on this roster is happy right now, I like the way Brad's doing rotations with this group more than I've liked any Brad Underwood rotation. Um, I think it's better for this team in the long run if you have 4, maybe 5 guys who are each 30-minute a night guys, and then you have Luke Goody hunting off the bench, you have Dane Danger hunting off the bench, and you have a backup guard that's in the rotation. And right now that's Justin Harmon, it's not DGL. I think that's a championship team rotation. Like championship teams don't go 11 deep. Championship teams don't have guys who one game play 20 minutes and one game don't play because of like that's just literally you can't find me a team that has a matchup guy that's like, oh, this is a Dane night. Like that's a gimmicky thing. Like either Dane's one of your top 8 or he's not. So I like seeing Terrence Shannon. Like, do I wish Terrence Shannon didn't need to play 38 minutes against Colgate? Maybe. But I like seeing Terrence. I like in a normal game, any given game. I want to see Terrence on the floor the whole game. I like Ty Rodgers tonight so much that 35 minutes feels great. Coleman Hawkins played 30, great. Quincy Guerrier played 27. He looks like a 30-minute game guy right now. Damask only played 23 tonight. I think he could have played more. He was in foul trouble. He probably would have hit 30 if he didn't have 4 fouls. So, and then you got Goody at 19. That's the high. Like that's a good rotation. I feel great about it. The only downside of it is DGL did play 3 minutes tonight, and let's talk about those 3 minutes. Let's talk on the court only. Let's talk 3 minutes from DGL. He was forcing. He came in and said, it's DGL time. It's me time. I'm going to gun. Oh, you know why I'm going to gun, Carter? Do you know why me, Dre Gibbs Lawhorn, is going to gun? Because I've played 6 minutes in the last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We've hit that point with DGL where any minute you get from him now is going to be it's me time.
But is that awful?
It's not going to help Illinois.
It isn't, but I also don't think it's going to hinder them either.
But that just means it's not affecting them because he's not one of their top 8, which I can accept as a premise. But I'll compare it to this with your program. We've talked about how important it is that Tom Izzo gets something out of his freshmen. And then you go and have a blowout win against Baylor where Cohen Carr looks like an impact guy that can help you. Like games where you have talented kids and we're just writing them off being like, oh, he's not a guy. That bugs me a little bit because I still think there's things DGL could do for this team that would help them in a way no one else on the roster can. And it kind of feels like we're just throwing his development out the window.
Okay, so I see this, and I'm gonna play both sides on this, and I know that's not what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to kind of take a stance and state my point, but I'm gonna play both sides on this one, just in this situation. I do think that DGL should actually earn some more minutes. I'm not saying he's got to play like, Justin Harmon played 11 minutes in this game. I'm not saying he's got to play something like that, but I truly think that with the way Ty Rodgers has played, and honestly, I've been in the camp of Ty Rodgers has played pretty solid as a point guard for this Illinois team. Like he's done what he's had to do. I do think his minutes could be cut into, and possibly some of those minutes could be thrown to Dre Gibbs Lawhorn. I think that would do wonders for him as a player, not only for this year, but just, moving forward. And who knows, like maybe some more. You will never know if Dre Gibbs Lawhorn might be a player who can contribute to this team right now because you haven't really given him a real opportunity. And there's a flip side to it. Why give him the opportunity when your backcourt and the other guys on the team are Terrence Shannon and Marcus Damask? And that brings me to the next point here is it's a completely different situation than Michigan State. And I know what you're saying, and it's different than Michigan State too. I'm asking for less minutes from guys averaging 2 points and 2 rebounds and guys averaging 4 points and 2 rebounds, and we're losing.
Yeah.
This team's winning and guys in front of him are playing well. I just don't, you can't really, you want DGL to play because he's talented, and I think everyone knows he's talented. But at the same time, you're winning basketball games, and the guys in front of him are playing extremely well.
Yeah.
So it's tough. It's tough to equate that,
That's a good point. I don't bring this up to say that there's anything that looks frustrated to me with DGL. I bring this up to talk about what he's doing when he's on the floor right now. Like when Brad says it's your turn to go, DGL is at a point where I read his performance tonight as, well, I don't know when I'm going to play again. I better gun. And to me, DGL is a player who we've seen, like, he's going to hunt shots. I still think there's a lot more there for him in college as a ceiling guy when he gets closer to what his finished product looks like, where he's doing more things on a basketball court than just, I'm going to go look for my offense and that's it. And I would have liked to see some of that in year one from a team that, in my opinion, is really shallow at the guard spots. But to me, it feels like Brad is just kind of in a spot where, like, hey, my top 7 is so good. What do I need these freshmen for? And I'm not even saying that's a bad read by him because the team is playing great. It's just something that kind of makes me sad a little bit because I think it is important to invest in these freshmen, being DGL and Hansberry, in a way, especially like in a game. Look, man, they were blowing out Colgate most of the game. We got 3 minutes total from Gibbs, Lawhorn, and Hansberry in a game where you're blowing out Colgate at home. Like,
Can
I
I
don't
also
love
get
that.
greedy? Can I get greedy quickly here?
Yeah.
It's something that I can't let go. That I love this Illinois team. I've been singing their praises this whole time. I think they're a great team. I think they're, a second weekend team. I put them up there as one of the contenders for the Big Ten title. If Dre Gibbs Lawhorn could contribute to this team, wouldn't they make them that much better?
In theory, yes.
I know it's in theory, I know, but it's just something I don't know. Like, I'll never let it go, to be honest with you. And I don't think I don't think it could have an effect on the team this season and what their success is. But there will always be something in me, even if it's like you put out of 100%, it's like 1% or 0.5%. That'll be like, damn, this team's really good. What if like Drake Gibbs Lawhorn was like a bench piece for this team too, and they could get that production, or
Yeah.
if he can produce, that is.
Yeah, it's the like total fantasy land. If we could make
Yeah,
every little thing happen perfectly for Brad Underwood, then like, yeah, let's get DGL sprinkled in. And look, that's the point where we have to like stretch to talk about negatives for Illinois because they look so good right now. On the court, I want to say this about this team. They went kind of cold offensively midway through the second half. Like they couldn't really buy anything. Nothing was going in. And I thought the possessions for the most part were fine. They weren't making shots. Uh, it impressed me a lot that Colgate didn't really ever get over the hump against them, and it was because of how good Illinois' defense was. Like Colgate did cut it to I think 9 points at one point, and then Illinois scored immediately. But I kept like with how Illinois' offense was playing, I thought the door was open for Colgate to make a complete comeback. They never got any rhythm with that, any momentum, because Illinois' defense was like holding them in lockdown mode while Illinois' offense was struggling. And I think my biggest takeaway is that I buy this defense as elite. Like I think they're going to win a bunch of games in the Big Ten against teams that can't shoot the basketball because this team is so good in 2-point percentage defense. They don't let teams shoot threes. Like if you look at it, they only 28% of their opponents' shot attempts come from 3-point range. They're only shooting 29% from three. I think that percent could go up over the course of the season, but like you watch teams and they have to work for everything against this defense. It's really, really fun to watch.
yeah, and that's credit to Brad and how he put together this roster. Like
Yeah.
he's putting out 5 guys there that have length. They have, a clear picture of what they need to do, and they got guys that are switchable. Like they just, you know, they have a lot. And I'm not trying to do like the whole clickbait thing on this video or anything like that, and also I'm not trying to like get going on this video more than a recap of what it is. But quick rapid fire question for you right now: is Brad Underwood Big Ten Coach of the Year?
Oh, that's really hard. That's really hard because it depends on what Purdue
Because I
does.
think because I think he is, and I swear I'm so sorry for anyone who's gonna come out here and be like, I'm just trying to like get clicks or make a statement. I truly believe that when you look at everything, roster construction, what he did during the summer, what he's doing right now currently, he is the Big Ten Coach of the Year in my eyes.
I think it depends on what Purdue does. I think it depends
I
on
know,
what
but
Purdue
like
does.
Purdue was like they were great last year too, and I guess you can hold that, but they were great last year and they brought back the National Player of the Year.
Do you think Brad Underwood's done a better job from the start of the season until now than Matt Painter has done with
I actually
all those non-conference wins?
Are we factoring in like Housewives of Champagne information?
Yeah, yeah. I
I
mean,
mean,
that's part of the job.
we're almost to Christmas, and you and I have nothing.
So that's the most impressive coaching job in the country that we have that. Coleman Hawkins is tweeting about the Bears at halftime. Like
that game was insane. I'm with Coleman.
all right,
I'm just saying.
I think you've swayed me. I think you've swayed me. I think you're right. I think Daddy Brad might be number one right now.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Coach Painter, I think like we expect him and expect them to do what he did this year. Honestly, like I expected them to do this.
Counterpoint. Juwan Howard gets Michigan to the NCAA tournament. They go 14-6 in Big Ten play, and he doesn't hit anyone. Did he do a better job than Brad Underwood?
He already hit someone though. If before the season you said that, and you go he didn't hit. He already hit someone.
Tom Izzo gets his team to the NCAA tournament, and AJ Hoggard ends up third team All Big Ten. Is he better than Brad Underwood?
No.
Does Brad need to beat Purdue to win this award? They play them twice.
He needs to beat him one time. Yes.
I think if Brad Underwood gets one win and Purdue, even if Purdue wins it, if Illinois finishes second in the conference, then I think he's the coach of the year.
Yeah. And that's bad for Illinois, by the way.
Chris Holtmann has Ohio State finish third after last season's horrible debacle season. Bruce Thornton's first team All Big Ten. Ohio State finishes third. Does he win Big Ten Coach of the Year over Brad?
No. It'll be close, though.
Okay. Brad's been phenomenal. He really has. I mean, he navigated Sincere Harris's red shirt. Coleman Hawkins tweets. Everything looks good for Brad in Daddy Bradland.
Yeah. Coleman's wild. That's how we
But
should
you know what we should do?
That's how we should end this recap. Coleman's wild.
We need to make our own board game that's like basically Candyland, but instead it's Daddy Bradland. And it's just like you go around on all the little spots and there's like a player transfers midseason. Like your starting power forward tweets a porn star. Like
collect 200 in red shirt and then pass go.
That would be so good. We could sell so many copies of that. Hey, Tyler Underwood, you have our number. Hit us up. We'll make sure you get your own square. By the way, like Daddy Brad Bucks would go crazy. The NIL budget in that game.
Facts.
Like you pick up a card and it's like spend $900,000 on Kirk Reeser or tell him to hit the mountains. Like it'd be so
hit
good.
The mountains.
Be so good. All right, Illinois, congrats on your win. You guys looked great. I'm greatly enjoying how good your team is this season. And it's good for the Big Ten that we have another legitimate national contender. Carter's wearing an orange jersey. By the way, it's not an Illinois jersey, though, so don't get your hopes up.